Hey guys and gals, today we're going to do something a little bit different. By now, I'm sure you guys have heard about Eternal Masters, the new draft format that's coming out in June of 2016. If you haven't, Eternal Masters is the new draft set that's supposed to focus on Legacy, Vintage, Commander, Cube, and to a lesser extent Modern. With the announcement, they also spoiled that two of the big cards from Legacy, Force of Will and Wastelands, are going to get reprinted in the set, so a lot of the cards people are excited for are the reprints. So this is where it gets a little bit different. Rather than do the typical Dick, Tom, and Sally video where I go over my cards that I wish will be reprinted, I'm going to go over cards and discuss my thoughts as to why certain cards will not be in Eternal Masters. You're free to disagree, and if you do, let me know in the comments. This is a purely opinion piece. I'd love to get a discussion going with you guys, so please comment away. So I'm going to do this as kind of a countdown, and before we begin, we're going to go with an honorable mention. The honorable mention is any of the cards that are on the reserve list. They are not going to reprint these guys. It's just not going to happen. At best, it's going to be a print run to basically test out and gauge whether or not there's an interest in Paper Legacy or Vintage. They're going to hold on to the duels and all the other reserve cards for as long as they possibly can, probably until they start to lose sales. I mean, could you imagine packs with dual lands and moxes in them? That'd be a huge boost to sales. Incredible. So the first card that I want to talk about is Mana Crypt. I'm only about 50-50 on this one, so bear that in mind. For me, Mana Crypt is probably one of the least likely cards to be included, mostly because it only sees play as a restricted card in Vintage, partly in Cube, and a little bit in Commander. It was released as a promo card, and it has a huge price tag right now, so I mean, I could see the reason for them to reprint it would be to lower the price and increase the availability. But on the other hand, if this is meant to be a way to feed Legacy into Vintage, why would they print a card that is only required as a one-of in a Vintage deck and sees no Legacy play at all? It could also really warp the draft perspective, because having a 0 mana tap for 2 on turn 1 can really lead to some degenerate plays in draft. Sensei's Divining Top is another card that I hope they don't reprint, mostly because I hate this card. It enables a lot of cool stuff, and library manipulation is always great. But if you've ever watched a game or participated in a game with EDH or Legacy or anything like that, where the opponent activates it once or twice on a turn, you can quickly see how it adds up in terms of time. It's particularly bad in EDH when you have 2 or 3 players of them active on the field. They're impossible to get rid of, and everyone's doing it at the end of everyone else's turn, and it can just lead to like extra 2 or 3 minutes per turn of people just dirking around. I put this relatively low on the list because I could see them reprinting it as sort of a colorless cantrip for most decks in draft. It's not super overpowered in a limited format. I mean, I guess a lot of the reason I put the card on the list is because I hate it. Next on the list is Mana Drain. We already know that one of the blue mythics is Force of Will. When you couple that with the fact that Mana Drain was recently reprinted in Vintage Masters online at Mythic Rare, it doesn't make sense for them to bump down the rarity just for this set. What that leaves us with is 2 mythic blue counterspells, which I really don't think is the route they want to go with. I'm sure they're going to put something else that's just as flashy or silly or something else to just kind of balance things out. So the last card I don't think will be reprinted is actually a group of cards, and it's the Zendikar Fetch Lands. If you look at the breakdown of the previous sets, Modern Masters and Modern Masters 2, they only have 53 rares. What this means is that if they went the route of printing the Zendikar Fetch Lands, and they had Wastelands, and if it had Rashidian Port, if you believe the rumors, that means that 7 of the rares are going to be lands. I just can't imagine them dedicating that many slots in the set to lands if they're trying to make a balanced and fun draft format. I love the fetches, I would love for them to be in this set, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to be. And also, even if they were, it's not going to make that big of a dent in the price. Eternal Masters is going to be a smaller print one than Modern Masters 2, and it's not even going to have a GP to support it. I'm sure they're going to be reprinted in another set, I just don't think this is it. It makes more sense for these to be the showcase card of another set in the future, somewhere where they can get people to buy more of it than necessarily what they could buy with Eternal Masters. Since you guys have been so good about listening to my ranting and my ravings, I'm going to share what I hope is reprinted in the set. The first thing that I hope they reprint are good commons and uncommons. If you played during Modern Masters 1, you'll know what I'm talking about. Modern Masters 1 had Path to Exile, it had Lightning Helix, it had a lot of really good and fun commons and uncommons. This worked in the draft format, but it also helped when you opened rare. Basically, you could still almost recoup your losses with a couple good commons or uncommons. Modern Masters 2 seemed to lack in this, with only Remand and Lightning Bolt being decent cards to pull from packs that weren't the rares. My other hope is that they bring back some of the Portal 3 Kingdom cards. The price tags on these cards have gotten so ridiculous over the years that I really hope they print even just a few of them. It doesn't have to be Imperial Seal, but please reprint some of the good stuff. Imperial Recruiter is like $300 and it has a legacy deck built around it. That would be a great reprint. For Commander, you could reprint 3 Visits. I mean, that's a functional Nature's Lore reprint, and I mean, it's $30. I don't need extra turns or tutor effects. I just want to get these cards that have really unique effects that we can't otherwise get access to. Well, gang, that's my thoughts on the Eternal Masters draft format coming out in June of 2016. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts on the matter, and as always, thank you for watching, and be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this video.